Good afternoon, members. This is Sangeeta Jagannathan from SIRC. And on behalf of SIRC, I welcome the speaker also, Prasanth sir. I was just checking. I think chairperson is just busy on her travel, so she won't be able to join now. We'll start this program with a motto song. Technical team, can you please start?
य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of SIRC, we welcome you today for the virtual program on the renewal of registration of trust Form 10B, filing and FAQs. It's a great pleasure that our distinguished speaker, CA PRASANTH SRINIVAS sir, was able to spare his time today for a very important session for all the members. So I welcome you, sir, on behalf of SIRC. And CA Prasanth Srinivas sir comes from a family of chartered accountants and represents the third generation in the profession. A fellow member of the ICA since 1998. He's also a cost accountant and holds the diploma in information systems audit. He has contributed immensely to the profession and important to note as an author of the handbook on taxation of charitable institutions. So as a experienced resource person in direct taxes and has presented numerous forums and represented clients before various tax authorities and tribunals. And Prashant sir has served in the profession in multiple capacities, and notably the chairman of the Kottayam branch of ICA from 2021-22, and as a member of the Direct Tax Committee of SIRC for the period 2024-25. He was also associated with academia as a Board of Studies member at the Marine College, Kutikana. And we are honored to have you here with us today. And we request you to share your valuable insights on this important topic today. Welcome, sir. Over to you, sir.
Wait a minute, sir. Sir, chairman has joined in the meeting. She also wants to say some words about the program. Madam.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. So good evening, everyone. Sorry, I have not been able to come on screen and give Prashant's introduction. We have more than 410 people on this very important topic of charitable institutions, the FAQs, which that he will address. And, given that now we have the extension, so I think all the members will be a little relaxed and, get all the accepted immediately to join us on this virtual session, clarify and share his knowledge and experience. You all will be aware what a lot of experience he brings on to the table, and FAQs which are, posed to him. Thanks a ton, Prashant, for actually accepting our invite and doing this. And I also want to inform the members that during the month of October, we are going to have a series of programs on tax audits, the guidance notes, the forms, and other rules, regulations, sections, whatever can be covered, with the number of experts coming and clarifying all our doubts and sharing their experience. Some of these programs will be online like this, and some would also be offline at Brahmaya Hall. So the larger focus on the topics will be hosted like this online meeting, so that we can have more members joining us. And in case there are any specific requirements also, we will be very happy to organize sessions on those specific topics. All members can actually reach out to us and tell us what focus areas that they would be needing. And this meeting will also be hosted on the SIRC YouTube channel. And I request everyone to also watch out for the programs on tax audit. Thanks a ton for joining us. And thank you very much again, Prashant, for accepting our invitation. Over to you.
Thank you, Revati ma'am and team SARC for giving me this opportunity. And good afternoon all for joining this meeting, especially when the time is very testing, because we have only 4 or 5 days left to complete the filing of registration application. But good news is today Gujarat High Court has also directed CBDT to extend the ITR due date also. So yesterday they have extended the all tax audits due date to 31st of October. Now Gujarat High Court has given a direction that why not you extend the ITR due date to 30th of November. So with that good news with us, and it is all cheers for especially for members in South India, because we have Saraswati Puja coming, and then Deepavali coming. So let us finish all the trust applications before all festivities begin. And as Revati ma'am said, October is a month of learning. So let us be prepared, and let us, as Institute says, we shall maintain a happy work-life balance. And about this session, I know most of the situations, many a times, we become too stressed because of overthinking. So when we file the form, we are anxious what will happen when the case is taken for scrutiny. When case is taken for scrutiny, the fear that looms large in our head is what happens if they reject the application. But my suggestion is, let us live in the present. So present task before us is to fill up the form. Which is the form, who has to fill up, what has to be done. Let us approach this in a tension-free, very relaxed manner, so that the filing will become very easy. Last few months, we have been hearing various sessions on registration of charitable trust. When it is a CPE program, regular 3-hour CPE program, we discuss all sorts of negative issues, so that we have to be prepared to face the worst. But today, we are all positive. Our mission is to file form number 10AB within time. So fundamental focus is we are going for renewal of registration. The other things are also there, whether provisional registration has expired, whether how to regularize it. So 12AB speaks about lots of situations, but the topic of the hour is our registration is expiring. We have to renew it, what to do. So let us be very practical. Let us be very work-like. And I want to address as many questions as possible within the given time. But many of the FAQs, because every day I used to get 100 or 20 or 25 calls every week, 500 calls I'm getting. So I thought I will have a doubt clearing session for members in closed groups. So I sent an SMS, I sent a WhatsApp message yesterday. I'm available to address. I will come online and address your queries. And thanks to Revati ma'am, she took it up at the SIRC level, and this big stage is all set. I think I'll be able to do justice to what I'm interested with. So let us start. Now, which registrations are going to expire now. For that, we have to first take our form number 10AC or 10AD. 10AC is our registration certificate. When already you were registered, you applied in form number 10A and you got a re-registration of the old registration. That is form number 10AC. 10AD means you applied afresh, after scrutiny, you got registration. You now take 10AC or 10AD as the case may be under section 12A or under section 80G or under 1023C. 1023C has faced its natural death last year. And now on, if you want to renew 1023C, you cannot do it under 1023C. You have to apply under 12AB. So 1023C is no more. Now renewal is under either 80G or 12AB. So these are the two sections where renewal is now coming into force. Which are the registrations that are to be renewed? You take form 10AC or 10AD and read it. And it will say the registration is valid from assessment year 22-23 to assessment year 26-27. That is a common 10AC we find. If 400 members are here, 390 members have the same fact before us. The registration is valid from assessment year 22-23 to 26-27. Now, when renewal application has to be applied. So your registration is valid up to assessment year 26-27 means your registration is going to expire on 31/3/26. Act says within 6 months prior to the expiry of the registration. That means 31/3/26, 6 months prior is 30th of September. That's why 30th of September has become the D-Day. So 30th of September, on or before 30th September, we have to make the application in form number 10AB. That way, fine. And there are certain cases where provisional has become regular and all sorts of things have happened. There also, sometimes the registration is bound to expire on the assessment year 26-27. So those cases where the registration is going to expire with assessment year 26-27, their registrations are to be renewed. Now, starting point is form number 10AB. Earlier, we had registration under the previous set of law. Those registrations we had to re-register. The process was very simple and straightforward. All you had to do is you had to file form number 10A. Form number 10A, you file it, 3 months wait. In some cases, the order came faster. So 3 months wait, it was a straight through process. Whoever applied, they got the registration. So that was a very straightforward process, stress-free process. It was very happy ending, but that may not be the case here. Because once you file form number 10AB, as those who are in practice regarding trust, they know 10AB, if you file, you get notices from the jurisdictional AO's office as well as from the commissioner's office asking scores of questions, 20-25 questions they ask. You have to answer those questions. Based on that, they may either grant or reject the application. So 10AB is not a smooth sailing, but it is a professional opportunity. We have to represent the client. It is like 10A is like playing a 20-20 match. Everything will be over fast. Whereas 10AB is like playing test match. The real test is you survive 5 days and bring a result. So that is a real test. It is like playing a test match and seeing the end of the day. Now the starting point, as I said, form 10AB. So before stepping into form 10AB straight away, let us do some homework. Well begun is half done. Unless we do the homework, we start by typing the form, then we have to run from pillar to post to collect the data. So once we collect the data, it's a single sitting. Within 10 minutes, you can upload the form. So what are the data required? First of all, you ensure that you have the user ID and password of the client. And once you have the user ID and password, log on to the portal, then go to the profile. Go to the profile and see whether the present office bearer is the signing person. Present office bearer is the signing person. So in most of the cases, the old office bearer's name will be registered in the profile. Now you have to edit the profile and bring in the new person. Either you get his digital signature or ensure that his Aadhaar number and phone number are linked so that Aadhaar OTP verification is possible. So this may sound very fundamental, but at times this can be very, this can deter your process of getting the form uploaded. So profile updation, signing person, all these things we have to ensure. Then the details that are essential details. Don't bother about the questions that the officers asked at the time of scrutiny at this point in time. Now our mission is, now our focus is to file form number 10AB. So what all details are essential for uploading form number 10AB? Get those details ready. I may sound very unorthodox, but I don't bother. But present focus is we have to upload the form. We have to get the bare minimum details to complete the form. What are the details required? You get the latest audited balance sheet. Here many ask a question. 31/3/25 audit, sir, due date is extended. 31st October is the time. My accounts are not ready. My audit is not over. No problem. You take 31/3/24. Those figures can be given. 31/3/25, you complete the audit and produce the audited accounts to the commissioner at the time of scrutiny or at the time of hearing. So latest audited balance sheet is important. In the balance sheet, details of immovable property and other assets. Fixed assets head you take, immovable property balance. What is the balance as per the balance sheet? Land improvement, building. So these are three items you take separately and other fixed assets separately, because the form asks segregation of immovable property value and other fixed assets value. This should tally with the total fixed assets value in the balance sheet. Then on the asset side, then next question they ask is, which are the funds referred to in 11.5? So 11.5 total you take. And third question, third field we have to fill up is other assets. So these are the three aspects regarding assets. Then coming to liability side or sources of funds side, they are asking corpus balance separately and other funds separately, and then other liabilities. Now, many members have asked a question, sir, my capital fund is a minus figure because year after year we are having excess of expenditure over income. So capital fund is a minus figure. This question can come while filing ITR 7 also. ITR 7 is also not supporting entering minus value. So we are left with no choice. Again, I am very unorthodox. I am not going by the theory. I tell this can be shown as other assets in the asset side of the balance sheet. Minus balance of capital show as assets. Show in the asset side, it may not be true as per the accounting conventions, but to upload the form and to tally the balance sheet, you are compelled to show it under the other assets column. The same case happens with respect to ITR 7 also. Then other details required are last 3 years income figure. If 31/3/25 is over, returns are filed means well and fine. 25, 24 and 23. Else 24, 23 and 22. Go to the computation, take the total income before application. If you are using Winman, you can go to the ITR menu in Winman of those years, aggregate of income, there is one field. That figure you can take. One breakup is required. They are asking if they are given, if you have got any grant from government grant has to be disclosed separately. CSR grant received has to be shown separately. Other income has to be shown separately. So 3 years income figure is essential. Then another important question they ask in the form is bank account details. A particular trust having multiple units may be having 150 bank accounts. Now you may ask a question, sir, whether we should disclose the entire 150 bank accounts. My practical answer is My practical answer is you can show some of the bank accounts which are in operation, whereas at the time of hearing, you can give the full list of bank accounts. That will be sufficient compliance, because at this point, you sit and type and type and type. Sometimes portal is doing some mischief. You type the PIN code, the post office is not coming. So that is the beginning. So imagine the situation, what will happen on 30th of September. So if you start typing 150 bank accounts, there is no offline utility available as of now. You have to go online to the form, type it online and save each entry. So better you show the important bank accounts there. Similarly, the next question is regarding trustee or office bearer. If you have 15 trustees, at the fag end of the due date, if you start typing all the 15 members, so there are chances that the system may get hanged. You can give list of certain trustees. The full list of trustees can be given at the time of scrutiny, because there is an important amendment which has come in 2022 or 23, which says when the form is incomplete, they cannot cancel the registration. But form is incorrect or wrong, they can cancel the registration. But if the form is incomplete, it is excusable, it is pardonable. So get all the details in paper at the time of scrutiny. But now, practically, what all information essential you can give, you give. Then trust deed. Copy of trust deed is a mandatory attachment that has to be required. Now, one important point we'll discuss. In India, especially in Kerala, we have these churches across the country which are constituted based on decree of the apex body of churches. That means they are not constituted based on a written document. There will not be a form having, they will not be having a formal trust deed. In that case, what to do? So the resolution you can take, the resolution based on which, or the decree based on which the institution has been constituted. Then in 2018, or in 2019-20, when the concept of re-registration emerged, most of us created a trust, a written trust, stating that the institution was constituted way back. This was the aim and objectives. Now the terms and conditions are reduced into writing. Like that, we have formed multiple forms of organization. We have constituted society, trust, etc. Well and fine, though that trust deed can be used. Otherwise, copy of decree and a approved bylaw having all the mandatory clauses that we can upload. At this point in time, I told you trust deed, society bylaw, memorandum of association, etc., etc. Now I am telling which is a mandatory attachment. At this point, don't venture into examining whether it contains all the mandatory clauses. This is not the time to examine that. You should have done way back. If you have not done, this is not the time. You upload the bylaws or memorandum or trust deed as such. Then immediately after the tax audits are over, before the commissioner issues us the notice for scrutiny, use AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot or Perplexity or any tool you use, you compare the mandatory clauses with the trust deed and ensure that all mandatory clauses are there in the trust deed. Okay. That exercise, that AI software will effectively do that. You upload the mandatory clauses list, you upload the trust deed, comparison will take place. Then mandatory clause is this. What is the corresponding clause in the trust deed? Which clause, which page number, whether any modification is required. In a tabular form, beautifully, the software will, AI utility will help you to do that. Presently, don't be bothered about whether the mandatory clauses are not there. That exercise you can do later. If earlier you have done it, well and fine. But if this is not the time to do that. Then 12-way registration or ATG registration certificate, which you have got 10 AC or 10 AD as the case maybe I was referring to, copy of that is required to be uploaded. That's a mandatory attachment. And most important, copy of accounts and notes on activity are mandatory at the time of hearing. Copy of accounts and copy of notes on activity, that is mandatory at the time of hearing, not mandatory at the time of uploading the form. And the rule of the game is, when uploading form number 10AB, the rule of the game is fill up only what is mandatory, attach only what is mandatory. So we are going by the rule of mandatory. So mandatory is the order of the day. Whatever is not mandatory, don't fill up. Whatever is not mandatory, don't upload. With this mantra, let us get started. Now, I want to file a form number 10AB. Now, how to go about? I'm going to upload a form. What I'm going to do? I will just log on to my computer, get into the profile. Then you go to the e-filing menu. You take other forms, IT forms and other return forms and other forms are the other forms menu. You click, go to the right corner and the 1, 2, 3, 3 columns are there. Third column you go. On the third column, you can select form number 10AB. 10AB pops out. When 10AB pops out, the question, first question you ask, it asks us whether you want to file regular 10AB or with condonation. Condonation is required only if the time limit has expired. In your case, you have valid registration till assessment year 26-27. That means you have registration up to 31/3/26. So condonation is not required if you are filing the form on or before 30th of September. So when you are filing the form on or before 30th September, the condonation menu is not at all required. If you are filing from 1st of October, if the due dates are not extended, then perhaps condonation may be essential. Now, if it is, this is renewal time, one of my files I took, I saw that the registration is expired. It has expired in 25-26. Again, now you can file. Already the timeline has expired. Now you can file using the condonation menu. So that is the first thing. Second thing, you choose ordinary filing or regular filing, you go. The next question it asks is, from which assessment year you want the registration? Is it 26-27 or 27-28? 26-27 or 27-28? You go back to your form 10AD or 10AC. 10AC says my registration is valid up to 26-27. That means I have registration up to 26-27. No need to select 26-27. From which year onwards you want registration? You select 27-28. So once you select 27-28, it will take you to the form, the next menu. Okay, once you go to the next menu, why I'm telling is, if you select 26-27, the section code gives you a long list in the drop down. It is very confusing to select. If you have registration up to 26-27, select 27-28, navigate further. So once you navigate, the first question it asks is PAN. The next question is the name. The third question is address. These things are pre-filled. Then next they ask the section code. Section code, thanks to the software, Infosys has done justice because it is less confusing. There are only 2 section codes. There are only 2 section codes if you are selecting 2027-28. The first section code is 01. 01 you have to choose. 01 you have to choose if you are going for 12-way registration renewal. 01 you choose if you are going for 12-way registration renewal. 13 is the code if you are going to file renewal of ATG registration. So these are the 2 section codes. These are only the only 2 section codes that are now available. The form 10AB is common for 12A as well as ATG. You cannot file single 10AB for 12A and ATG. Many people are asking, sir, can I file a single form for 12A and ATG? No. For 12A, you have to file a separate form. 80G, you have to file a separate form. So the code is very straightforward this time, unless in earlier years and earlier occasions. Now you have to select the nature of activity, religious and charitable, or charitable. You can choose. Now type of constitution, trust, society, you can choose company. What is the type of the constitution? The next question is whether the applicant is established under an instrument. So if there is a trust deed, if there is a registered memorandum articles, there is a bylaw registered, fine. You can choose yes, you are constituted under an instrument. Next question is date of incorporation, creation, or registration. So there can, if you have a testamentary formation, the testament will contain the date of formation. That date of formation we have to give. Then registration or incorporation number, it is not the 12A registration number, it is the parent registration number. That number we have to show. The authority granting the registration, it can be sub-registrar, it can be registrar of society, whoever has granted you, you can show that. But in the case of an entity like declared trust, as I said, that in a type of churches, etc., in the case, you may not be having an instrument based on which it has been constituted. Then you have to say no. At the time of scrutiny, you may have to substantiate this, how it has been constituted. And in support of your claim, there are scores of tribunal decisions which have said in that case, registration and registration certificate are not necessary. Registration and registration certificate are not necessary in such cases. If you want personally that information, please message me. I'll share the case laws. Because in short time, I could not prepare a PowerPoint. Objects of the applicant. In the case of a religious institution, select religious object as first. In religious institution also, you can select charitable objects. There is no problem. But in charitable institution, if the fundamental of your organization is charitable, then don't select religious. And object of any other object of general public utility can we choose or not? Many are asking. There is no harm in choosing that. If you have commercial income from such activities, activity can be commercial, but the object, if your object is general public utility and you are having commercial income, so proviso to section 2, subsection 15 will be attracted, and that will not be treated as a charitable purpose subject to 20% cap. Next question is whether trust deed contains a clause that the trust is irrevocable. While preparing the form 10AB, if your entity is a society, assume my entity, my client is a registered society. So when I attempt to answer this question, by default, this particular line is disabled. That means income tax law has recognized that a society is irrevocable. So when the type of entity is society, this column is inert. You cannot fill up any data under this paragraph number 6. But if it is a trust, this is active. You have to say whether the trust is revocable or irrevocable. Now, the next question is whether the applicant is registered on Darpan portal or under FCRA Act or any provision of the Income Tax Act. If you can readily trace the FCRA registration, Darpan registration, etc., those information can be given. But in all circumstances, the income tax registration details must be compulsorily given there. You have 12A registration, your 80G registration number, better you show under that line item number 7. The next 8. Whether any application for registration made by the applicant in the past has been rejected. We have to be very truthful. If application has been rejected, then tell it has been rejected. In many cases, it happens, you make an application. Of late, what is happening, I'm telling. You make an application. the Commissioner's Office ITO examines this, he will tell that you have chosen the wrong section code. I am going to reject the application. The application might not have been rejected on merits, but just because you have chosen a wrong section code, the application would have been rejected. Yet, it is a fact, application is rejected. That fact we have to disclose under clause 8A. Whether claiming exemption under clause 21 of section 10, generally that will not come in many of the cases. The next one, details of author, founder, settler, trustees, members of the society, members of the governing council, directors, shareholding more than 5%, office bearers as on the date of application. All these details, if you start giving, it will run into pages and end up as a long, as a big book. If the society has been in existence for last 30 years, 40 years means, if you give the list, it will be in the form of a book. So better, the current office bearers list you give. What are the details required? Name, what is his capacity, what is the percentage? That percentage of shareholding is irrelevant because it's a charitable institution. Then what is the type of ID you are going to give? It's PAN or Aadhaar or whatever it is that you have to select. You have to give that number. You have to give the address. The phone number of the concerned person is required. Email ID of the concerned person is required. That means the information that you give in ITR 7 and Form 10BB, the same information they are asking in paragraph 9A of Form 10AB. You can very well take it from Winman because last year you have given all this information filing ITR 7, the same information they are asking. In the case of 9B, they are asking, in the case any of this person is not a natural person, they are asking for the details. Mostly that will be blank in our cases. The next question, question number 10, details of school, college, university, hospital, yoga institute, religious places, any other institution being managed, controlled, administered, or owned by the applicant. So if you are running an institution like any of these, then give. If it's a pure charitable trust, annual income of say 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, based on that, they are giving aid to students, they are giving free food to poor. So if it is only a purely charitable relief for the poor type of activity and no big establishment is there like a school or a college or things like that, there is no need to fill up that. But if you are running a school, if you are running for if you are running a hospital, those details are to be filled up in form number 10. If the applicant has a business undertaking held as property under trust within the meaning of 11.4, that details are to be given. If the applicant has any income in the nature of profits of business, that is 11.4A. 11.4 and 11.4A, I'll explain in brief. So I have a property. Earlier we used to see in Tamil Nadu, there was a landmark judgment like Tanti Trust case. In Kerala, we have the landmark case of Dharmodayam Kuris. In these cases, the business was held in the trust and the profits of that business was used for charitable purpose. So the very business has been held in the trust with the motive of using the profits for charitable purpose. Those businesses are covered under 11.4. If their turnover exceeds the prescribed limits, 44AB audit report is also needed. That has to be uploaded. Copies are asked at the time of scrutiny. So that is the requirement here. If you have a business like that, say for example, I am running a needy medical store and the profits of the needy medical store is used for charitable purposes. That means this is a case where a business undertaking is held under trust where 11.4 is applicable. In that case, if the turnover exceeds the prescribed percentage, you first check 44AB, then come to 44AD, then again come back to 44AB, decide whether tax audit is applicable, then file form 3CB, 3CD, copy of that also to be attached before the officer at the time of scrutiny. 11.4A means I am a purely charitable trust, say for example, an orphanage, and orphanage, the inmates of the orphanage make chapatis and sell so that the profit can be used to augment the requirements of the society. So in case, it's only an incidental business. Incidental business is covered under 11.4A. In both the cases, if the turnover exceeds the prescribed limit, tax audit is required, and that tax audit required report copy, etc. are required. Then details of all bank accounts held by the trust. If 5 or 6 bank accounts are there, fine, you can give all the accounts. Suppose 150, 200, 300 bank accounts are there. If you had filed 1 month before, you had sufficient time to enter all these details. And most important, the form will be live only for a period of 15 minutes. 15 minutes becomes timed out. Then you have to log in again. Some members were complaining that I've completed the form, I saved everything. Next day when I saw the form was not there. Presently, touch wood, till date, I have not experienced that. But better in one sitting, file the form. And if you start uploading 300 bank accounts, 15 minutes will not be sufficient to enter the bank account details in its entirety. So we are running against the time. So better take a very judicious decision regarding this point. The details of all land and buildings are both held by the applicant. Many are worried about this question. Many are worried about the question. 9 out of 10 questions I receive every day is regarding this point, paragraph number 14. And fortunately, paragraph 14 is not a mandatory field. So don't give the information. If the field is not mandatory, don't give the information, because if you start giving the information, land will be acquired in one point in time, building will be constructed in a phased manner, you will find it very difficult to fill up that question. Similarly, pieces of land will be acquired from 1 year, 20 cents are acquired, the next year 25 cents are acquired, third year 3 cents is acquired. Likewise, total may be 250 cents. It may be acquired in different points in time. So very difficult to fill up when you venture filling up that field. And so far so good, the field is not mandatory. So paragraph 14 is not mandatory. We need not give any information in paragraph 14. Then the next question is, if your object is that of advancement of any other object of general public utility, that means you take section 2, subsection 15. It contains a list of objects: relief for the poor, medical relief, education, yoga, advancement. Last comes advancement of any other object of general public utility. So conservation of nature, all this comes. And last item, 6 general specific objectives. And the last 7th one, it says any other object of general public utility. If your sole object is object of general public utility, you are in trouble. Because if you have a commercial receipt, donation is okay. If you have some commercial receipt to augment that activity, you will lose exemption. So if your activity is that of general public utility, for example, I am running a Goshala. Goshala is not relief of the poor, it's not education, it's not medical relief, but what is it? It is advancement of any other object of general public utility. In that case, what you have to fill up column number 15, line number 15. What is line number 15? Line number 15 is not a very difficult question. It asks whether it involves carrying on of any activity in the nature of trade, commerce, business, etc. I am getting donations, I am getting surplus funds parked, I am getting interest on that surplus funds, then fine, there is no commercial receipts. You can safely put no there. Whether the activity is undertaken in the course of actually carrying out such action. So all those questions generally will be no. But if you are falling under the unpleasant situation, be very careful while filling up that particular column. The next question is details of assets and liabilities, which is a summary of the latest audited balance sheet. Now, the first question there is 16. Has return of income been filed for the last assessment year for which the due date has expired? So, due date has expired is 24-25 assessment year. Due date has expired means assessment year 24-25, the due date has expired. Now, the question is, have you filed a return of income for the last assessment year for which due date has expired? If you have filed the return of income for AY 24-25, you can write yes. And based on the assessment year 24-25 balance sheet, 25-26 assessment year 25-26 balance sheet is ready means fine, you can give the current figures. If it audit is not over, if the accounts are not ready means you can give AY 24-25 figures in paragraphs 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 and 25. What are the questions? 20, 17 says what is the corpus fund balance. Corpus fund means reference is given to section 11(1)(d). A donation which is received with a specific direction from the donor that it shall form part of the corpus. What is the law regarding corpus? The unspent corpus donation balance must be kept invested in mode specified under section 11(5). So 11(5) means generally, but should generalize 11(5) means bank. It shall be deposited in scheduled or nationalized bank. So corpus fund you have to show separately. So total fund you have to bifurcate into corpus, and 18 says funds, reserve, surplus other than corpus. So that is the bifurcation of own funds. Long-term liabilities they are asking. Then they are asking other liabilities. All other liabilities you can total and put in item number 20. Then they are asking, I told you fixed assets you should have a division. Land and building, other fixed assets. Land and building, you take the schedule of the balance sheet. From there, land, building, land improvements, capital work in progress. So all these things, capital work in progress means construction in progress. If there is construction in progress, all these things, all these four things put together minus accumulated depreciation. What is the book value? That book value figure you have to show as land and building and other fixed assets. Total fixed assets minus this figure you can show there. Investments, deposits made in one or more of the modes specified under 11(5). That means if you all bank balances for all practical purposes we can show here. But if the legal requirement is corpus fund amount, which is parked in 11(5), and 11(2) funds you have accumulated for a period of 5 years by filing form number 10, those funds put together you have to show anyway. But safe point is total bank balances you can show there. Investments other than mentioned in 17 above. 17 is corpus fund. Other than corpus fund, what is the amount that you have to show there? 25 other assets. All other assets put together you can show under 25. And ensure that total liabilities tally with total assets. Income details. Income received in 26th question. Income received in 3 previous years immediately preceding the previous year in which application is made. So the question is very clear. Though the drop down shows 24, 20, FY 24, 25, 23, 24, 22, 23. The question is very clear. Income received in 3 previous years immediately preceding the previous year in which application is made. Previous year in which application is made is this year. Last 3 years they are asking. But if the audit is not completed, you cannot give 31,325 figures. Don't worry, you give 24, 23 and 22. Somebody may ask 24, 25, sir, may I show 0? That may be, okay, fine. But you have to give proper explanation for that. It's left to you. But correct figures you can give 24, 23 and 22. You can give accurate figures because you have audited accounts with you. At the time of hearing, you can say at that time 24, 25 financial year accounts were not audited. Time was available till 31st October. So I gave 31,324, 31,323 and 31,322. Now I am giving the figures of 31,325 that you can give. Next, if you are a religious institution, 27A asks whether the fund or institution has incurred expenses of religious nature. In the case, this is very relevant in the case of ATG. This question is relevant in the context of ATG. Please provide the details for 3 previous years immediately preceding the previous year in which application is made. So, if the permissible limit of 5% is exceeded, religious expense permissible percentage of 5% is exceeded, they can cancel or they can resort to non-renewal of ATG application. So this particular paragraph 27A, 27B, this is very relevant in the context of ATG. So once we have a wrap up, this is a very straightforward form. Not much is asked. You can take data from your ITR. You can take data from your mostly ITR related data you can take, you can put here, bank account details you have to put, balance sheet details you have to put, last 3 years income you have to put. The problem is when we fill up the form, the thoughts of hearing will come to our mind. So live in the present, fill up the form. What are the mandatory attachments? Self-certified copy of registration certificate, self-certified copy of the trust deed or memorandum of association, etc. Then, and in this context, if the trust deed is amended at the insistence of the commissioner, normally we amend the trust deed based on the insistence of the commissioner of income tax. So original trust deed plus the amendment copy, both of them scanned together and then attach. So that explanation will be easier. Then 12A and 80G copy, these are the mandatory attachments. Trust deed, registration certificate, then 12A and 80G copy. These are the mandatory attachments. You attach that. Most important, last 3 years accounts, they are asking at the time of scrutiny. It is not a mandatory attachment. Then notes on activities, it is also not a mandatory attachment. So these are questions which are asked at the time of scrutiny. So file the form based on these inputs. So if you have 12A and 80G, first file 12A application. Once you file it, take a printout of that form, and on one side keep a PDF form of that open. Based on that, filling of 80G application is a child's play because the same information you are giving. Only word of caution is you select the correct section code. I'll repeat, the section code is for 12A it is 01, for 80G it is 13. So these correct section codes you have to choose. Once the section code is correct, once the mandatory attachments are done, once the mandatory fields are filled up, the form is ready for upload. File 12A first. Once 12A is filed, within 5 minutes, you can upload 80G form also. So total filling and filing the form will take only 15 minutes. But the homework takes another 20 minutes. So one form, maximum 30 to 45 minutes is required for preparing the form ready for upload. So based on that, don't worry too much. And after filing the form, be prepared to receive scrutiny notice. At this point, after tax audit, what we have to do is, we have to ensure that mandatory clause analysis I've told that we can do. Once the mandatory clause analysis is there, prepare the requisite amendments. And at present, from CIT exemptions, what is understood is they are inclined to accept affidavit from the assessee that amendments will be made. Based on that, they are ready to proceed. That's what the informal message that we get from the CIT exemptions office, Cochin. Chennai, I don't know. Hyderabad, I don't know. But Cochin, this is the informal information that I got. And don't be too stressed about this. But section code is very important. That's one area where they are rejecting the applications. Then amendments, they suggest certain amendments that you undertake to make. These two things they are looking. Then area of operation, objects shall be confined only to India. The beneficiary clause, beneficiary shall be public at large. Those things they are viewing strictly. So these things we have to, then the 11.2 accumulation part they are verifying. We ensure that returns are properly filed, that movement of funds are very properly kept. And these are the things that are relevant for filing Form 10AB for the purpose of renewal of registration. Now let me come to the questions. Certain questions have come. Let me see. What are the implications for applying re-registration if there are no fixed assets? No fixed assets means no problem. You can apply. Do we require to get the permission or approval for changes in trust deed from jurisdictional AO? Jurisdictional AO's permission is not there. If you are a registered institution, then commissioner's prior approval is required. But at the time of filing the application, the commissioner issues a notice stating that if there are whether mandatory clauses are there, if not, make suitable amendments means that's a deemed permission for making the amendment. What is the condonation process? Condonation process means you have to go to through the condonation window. you have to prepare the condonation request. You have to prepare the condonation request based on which it has to be done. Drafting of condonation request is very important. Address of the key person or trust address depends. If nuns or priests are there, they will be living in the same convent, then you can do that. If they have the Aadhaar number, the address given in the Aadhaar, that you can give. Then certain questions were there which I could not find now. A Section 8 company which is running educational institution was rejected 1023C in 2019-20. ITAT upheld an order to provide 1023C in 23. We have asked for consequential order but not passed. Now, should I apply for 1023C renewal for the said Section 8 company? Sir, please note that Section 1023C has expired for last year. Now, if you are going for renewal, you have to apply under 12AB, not under 1023C. And in many of the cases, tribunal has sent the case back to the commissioner, and commissioners have not taken any action on it. Many cases are there, but had the commissioner taken the action, whether that registration would have been valid up to 26-27 means definitely you have to go for renewal. It is not under renewal route. You may have to apply afresh. That's my personal view. Sir, for assessment year 26-27, provisional registration is ending. Then for renewal on which AY to be selected. See, one important aspect I want to discuss at this point is provisional registration does not have an expiry date. If activity is commenced within 6 months, we have to apply for regular registration. For that, the section code is not this. You take a provisional registration, you commence activity means within 6 months, you have to apply for regular registration. Then for that, the section code, I believe, is 3. That particular the code you have to select, and based on that, application has to be done. Whether Devasthan Vibhag registration is a must for obtaining permanent registration. I don't think so. I'm not very sure about this point. Is the exemption for educational institutions having gross receipts less than 5 crores available without registration under Section 12AB? It is covered under 1023C3AD. 1023C3AD does not mandate a 12AB registration. You can file a return in ITR 7. The prescribed schedule has to be filled up. The return has to be filed on or before the due date under Section 139(1). The due date is, since there is no audit, it was 30th of July, which was extended up to 16th of September. The time limit has lapsed. Don't worry. You can file up to 31st of December, paying a late fee of 1,000 rupees. Again, exemption will be available. Sir, for assessment year 26-27, provisional registration, that question already we have addressed. We have taken provisional registration required to file 10AB before 6 months from the commencement of operation, after 6 months from the commencement of operation, but we have failed to file, and even provisional registration given 3 years also lapsed. Should we apply for re-registration under Section 10A, 10AB? So once provisionally registered and you have claimed exemption means you are in a dire strait. Based on 10 provisional registration, you have filed a return, and claimed exemption under 11 means you cannot file a fresh application. You have to file an application for regularization of provisional registration with an plea for condonation of delay. So here, re-registration is not the answer. You apply for regularization of provisional registration, though the 3-year period has expired or the 6 months period has expired. You make an application with a prayer for condonation of delay. Can we file condonation of delay for ATG registration? Condonation is not applicable for ATG applications. Condonation is applicable only for 12AB registration. ATG, there are tribunal cases which have said that Tribunal has got the power to condone. Those CIT exemption don't have the power to condone. Sir, we got rejected of 12A and 80G. So we contacted CIT exemption. They said file new form 10AB with condonation. We will give registration from year you have filed. So for FY 2024-25, we are unregistered trust. Shall we need to pay tax? Yes, unregistered trust means you have to pay tax. Else, you make an application, wait. That's a risky proposition. 80G registration provisionally registered up to 24-25, but not renewal till date. How to proceed now for condonation also? Section 80G reflecting in Form 10AB. What to do for 80G registration? For 80G registration, as I said earlier, condonation is not available. If 12AB renewal was already applied for with assessment year 26-27 instead of 27-28, how to rectify it? This is a very interesting question. Once you file the Form 10AB, there is an option to withdraw the form. So withdraw the form means you can withdraw the form and file a fresh application. It is enough that you do it within 30th of September. That is possible. Goshala, what is the activity? I already said. Object of general public utility. Church matter, we have already discussed. Whether self-attestation is mandatory, you file it. Without attestation also, the system is accepting, but at the time of hearing, give a signed copy. What if application under section 80G rejected, want to apply a register under 12A, now we shall inform the rejected form. 80G, there is no condonation, it will be prospective. Sir, for AY 25-26, provisional registration is coming to end, then renewal. Provisional registration, again, very careful. Provisional, the rule we understand is, provisional registration is not valid for a period of 3 years. Provisional registration is valid for a maximum period of 3 years. It is not valid for a period of 3 years. It is valid for a maximum period of 3 years. If activity has commenced, even if the period is less than, the existence is less than 3 years, you have to apply. Surviving period is more than 2 years, yet you have to apply for regular registration, because the application for regular registration has to be filed either 6 months from the date of commencement of activity or within 6 months prior to the expiry of 3 years, whichever is earlier. That is the requirement. So depending on that, you make the application. If you've left out to make the application, make application in form number 10AB, choose the correct section code and file with a prayer for condonation of delay. Changes in trustees, is it sufficient to give minutes of the meeting along with trustees? It's okay. Also, whether note of activity is mandatory for applying. Notes on activities, they ask for ask at the time of hearing, but it's not a mandatory attachment as far as form number 10AB is concerned. Sir, assessment year 26-27 provisional registration is ending. That question we have addressed. Rejection of application for current year, which we are applying for, any rejection in past should be given. First time application means not required. If there is a rejection, then better give the details. For AY 26-27 provisional registration, can we file condonation for 80G? I think all the questions are there. Self-certified copy of the instrument creating the trust. Self-certified copy of the document evidencing the creation of trust. What is the difference? So first is your registration certificate. Second is your memorandum and articles. Is there any option for belated revision of ITR for AY 24-25? AY 24-25, you cannot file a revised return. The time limit has expired. If you are, sir, which section code to be selected for 12AB and 80G? At the beginning, we have discussed that at length. If you are choosing assessment year 27-28 at the beginning, then only two section codes are coming, 01 and 13. 01 is for 12AB and 13 is for 80G. Excess of expenditure over income in balance sheet that we have discussed. for a trust, PAN is issued as AOP. AOP is fine if the alphabet is the letter is A or T, it's fine. I have seen cases where PAN has the letter J, artificial juridical person and things like that. It will be dangerous. A or T is okay. So another important question that has come is, sir, in clause 7E, auto-populated effective date is 1/4/2006. You should correct it because otherwise it will end up as absurd. I'll explain it once more. 7E. What is 7E? Default some yes or no comes that you have to be very careful. Will my application for renewal 12A be rejected if for income details in serial number I have mistakenly given the amount of grants received from central government instead of grants received under CSR? Sir, if you already filed form, you have 4 more days time. You can withdraw the form and correct the information. Give the correct information. But that may not be a reason for cancellation of the registration or something like that. Next question is, sir, my registration expired in 25-26. I applied with an application for condonation of delay. In this year, can I claim exemption under 11? You can claim, but I don't know CPC, whether CPC will allow the claim or not. Let us wait. Anyway, you can claim because once the condonation is accepted, your registration is retrospectively valid. But in the audit report, please mention this fact. The registration is already expired and SSC, in anticipation of getting condonation, claimed exemption under section 11. As an auditor, your responsibility is properly discharged. I think we could cover almost all the questions. Questions are coming whether audit report is required. Audit report is not a mandatory attachment. Financial statements are not mandatory attachments. Whether old age homes collect fees and carries the activity. It also provides free accommodation to the persons who cannot afford. Now, whether it is object of general public utility or relief for poor, the question is very tricky. Predominant object we have to see. Whether renewal due date is not extended up to 31st October as of now. Only audit report due date is extended. Sir, can we upload notes on activities prepared in Malayalam? Depends. If the commissioner also knows Malayalam, fine. And otherwise, they may insist at the time of hearing that you prepare a certified copy, translation. So we have filed Form 10A and got Form 10AC up to assessment year 27-28, and trust has already commenced its activity. That means you are talking that you are got provisional registration. That means 6 months have elapsed, means you have to apply for regular registration. Whether rental income constitutes business income, there are two schools of thought. It's an activity income, not a business income, my personal view. What is the time period for condonation of delay in filing 12A? It's basically it's discretionary. Commissioner has got power to condone. It's a discretionary power of the commissioner. Section code, many options are given. Many options are given only when you choose assessment year 26-27. If you choose 27-28, only two options are coming. Code 01 for 12A and code 13 for ATG. Sir, we have already filed Form 10AB of trust having 10 AC by selecting AY 2627, and we have selected the section code as 12A1 AC2. Is the section code correct, and can we file Form 10AB by selecting assessment year 2627? If you have a valid registration, valid registration means it's a regular registration, I'm telling, not a provisional registration. If your regular registration is valid up to assessment year 26-27, then better you file an application from assessment year 27-28 instead of 26-27. If you have already filed as 26-27, you can think about withdrawing that application and filing a fresh application. Darpan registration date not shown in certificate is a practical issue. So better don't show Darpan application registration number in the app form. Show it at the time of scrutiny. Does Form 10AB withdrawal reflect on the same day? I now got a feedback from one of the chartered accountants that she withdrew it and uploaded the new form now itself. So it is happening in a real time. And so far I have not withdrawn any form. So the consequences I don't know, but these are the feedbacks that I get. Financial statements of how many years to be attached. The form is attachment of financial statement that it's not a mandatory attachment. So no need to attach at the time of filing the form. A trust was carrying on religious activity at the time of applying ATG. Thereafter, it transferred to another trust the religious part, but renewal of ATG is rejected because the first 3 years there was religious activity. CIT ignored the position of subsequent years what to do. Preferably file an appeal before the tribunal, apprise the facts before the tribunal and get a favorable order. Our clinic is run on a non-profit basis. Do we need to fill the section 11 details in Form 10AB while applying for registration renewal? Yes, the details of any institutions run, there is a question, paragraph number 10, there you can show it. And as I see, most of the questions are of a repetitive nature. And I think almost all the practical issues are covered. Sir, have a trust having the corpus fund, but using that fund it has constructed college building. Is there any way we need to knock off the fund or let it be in the balance sheet? Every year you have to do that exercise. When money is used out of corpus fund to create an asset, then the corresponding part must be transferred from corpus fund to the capital fund. That is what the technical guide of the institute says. Conducting exhibition by a trust is a business income or other source income. See, heads of income concept is not applicable for a trust, but it is only an adventure in the nature of trade. We have to see it is not a business income per se. It's a fundraising activity. I understand. And do you do an exhibition and the main object is relief for the poor means it is not hit by the proviso to section 2 subsection 15. Do you give all bank account details of the university has got 100 plus bank accounts? Some of the bank accounts you give, the refund bank account shown in the ITR, you definitely show, but prepare the list of bank accounts and produce at the time of hearing. See, one question is, our trust has amended its objects in the deed. Accordingly, we filed a renewal application in form number 10AB within 30 days of the change and submitted it to the department. Currently, the department has issued a notice. We have submitted our response on 24th. Do I need to file form number 10AB again? See, if you read 12AB, you have filed the form 10AB because you have undertaken a modification of the objects. So modification of objects is different. Renewal of registration is different. So department may insist that you file the first 10AB for modification of objects. Now your registration has expired. For renewal of registration, you may have to file another form number 10AB. So most of the questions I think I could address. If there are any more questions, 5 more minutes we can discuss. After that, we'll finish. Sir, I am unable to access my profile. It shows access denied. That has to be taken to the CPC help desk. AY 2324, I filed provisional registration and I filed 10AB. Is this the right process? Yes, it is the right process.
Sir, good evening, sir. This is Arun, sir.
Solunga, sir.
Sir, there is a small doubt in it. When the one trust is not filing the return for the last 2, 3, 4 years, but they are not getting any 12A and other things. When we approach for the 12A, definitely we need to upload a 3-year ITR and other things, previous year activities and everything. We need to upload it. Correct, no, sir?
No, sir. It's not a mandatory attachment.
Oh, without that also we can.
You can file the form.
We can file the form.
Yes, yes.
Okay, but
balance sheet and things like that. It's not a mandatory attachment.
But we have to prove it. Our trust is in activity with the objective of those things. We need to prove it, no, sir.
That before the assessing officer, you have to prove, sir.
Oh.
Commissioner's office, they will send a notice.
Okay.
At that point, you may have to prove that.
Okay,
sir. Because that field is not mandatory, that field in the form.
Yeah, but definitely without that, they won't give the 12A, no, sir.
They will not give, but this presently, The
But
need
the
of
application, they cannot deny the application, but they can deny that
push,
only.
no, sir, you can hit a 6 in the dead overs. But the next match is a new beginning. This match you can win. But in the playoffs, you have to play quite cautiously.
The problem is many of the trusts are not filing last 1 or 2 years. But if
Okay.
renewal is done, definitely they will blame for the auditor. You are not filing on time, this, that, and all. So, but they know that the return is, even we said it is mandatory, sir, we can find out some alternate solutions like that. They come out with.
Sir, even if you file Form 10AB, the chance of getting registration renewed is very bleak.
Correct.
Because one of the mandatory conditions in 12A is return has to be filed and exemption has to be claimed.
Oh, okay.
And because on the Form 10A, they have given a condition. Grant of this registration is does not mean that automatically you are eligible for exemption.
Are eligible for the renewal or correct. It is there.
I think most of the questions we have addressed. I think we can wind up, and I'm very thankful to the SIRC for giving me this wide platform. I thought I'll address 50 members who are very close friends. Now I've got almost 500 very close friends. Thanks to SIRC for giving me this opportunity, especially chairperson.
Thank you, Prashanth. Actually, I should actually tell thanks a lot. He just sent one small message and I took it up and I told him, okay, we will do it at SIRC. And it's really, the need of the hour was felt by the number of people who joined and the number of questions you have answered. I think that you've given me, a person who's not practicing in this, also a lot of clarity in this.
Thank you, ma'am.
That is how comprehensive all your responses have been, and your experience has actually shown through, and your generosity also in sharing your experience. Thanks a ton for this. Thank you very, very much, everyone, for joining us at such short notice. I think hardly 24 hours notice was given. So thanks a ton, everyone, for joining, and we will be keeping you posted about the tax audit programs that we are going to do from 1st of August. We hope that you will all also be able to join us for the same. Thank you very, very much, Prashanth, for sparing your time and joining.